In today's Sunday vlog, we're going to cover all kinds of awesome topics.
I'm playing bass.
He's playing the big guitar.
I got put in timeout. Apparently I use all 6 strings too much, so they took one away from me.
The other day, Bradford posted on Instagram, I only have a few seconds left for this, about music directing. Seconds. So Bradford posted about MDing, and he asked if there were any questions you guys had, and there were many. So one, follow us on Instagram. 2, we're going to be periodically answering some of those questions today and talking about these awesome new in-ear monitors that we're sporting here at New Hope Worship Tutorials, wherever we are. So Instagram question number 1 that I saw come in, that you answered in the Instagram post. What is an MD? What is MDing?
MD means music directing.
Yes.
So basically, in short, my job is to do whatever I need to and help the band however I need to make Sunday and all the songs, transitions, elements go as easy as possible, as well as possible, and the best I possibly can. And to kind of piggyback off of that, it is not in place of tracks, clicks, cues.
That was another question.
Yes, and it's not an excuse for the band to show up unprepared thinking the MD is going to tell them everything. So I'll just call things that I think are necessary, then we do transitions that allows me to make sure the band's on the same page. And I'll be like, all right, on the 1, 2, ready, go.
And we'll cover how practically Bradford is talking to us as the band, and not to the congregation.
Yeah, not to the...
We'll talk about the basically how we've got it set up and how you do it too as a worship leader.
Yes.
Because today, Brad is playing bass. So Brad and I are like on the back of the stage. Brad has a microphone, we'll show that to you, that's routed only to our in-ears. But Brad, you often do this as a worship leader.
Yeah.
On the front.
We'll talk about that.
Follow us to Bradford's station. Bradford and I are basically neighbors on the stage today. Here, let me show you.
Here's the stage. That's Bradford's mic right there, where he stands. That's my getup.
I only got 1 pedal today.
Are you using the hot shot?
I'm using the hot shot.
So are you singing? Are you doing vocals in the house as well?
I am not.
Okay.
That would be a plus to using this hot shot though.
Yeah.
We just use it all the time, so we just keep it. Sometimes we route vocals through it.
Tell us how this works.
So, normally, the microphone just goes right to the front of the house.
Yeah.
We interrupt it with this box. And this box is passive, doesn't have any power or anything, which is awesome. And the way we have it set up, nothing's happening right now. When I step on it, it opens it, turns it on, whatever.
It routes the signal to...
And it goes straight to, well, we have it set for output 2, so it's sent to output 2. If you have it set for like always on, like you're gonna sing, that always goes to output 1, and the second you hit this, it swaps over.
So it can be a channel switcher.
It can, basically, but you have to hold it down.
Got it.
So, and we can get to this in a second. Normally when I lead worship or whatever, I'll run a wired mic and I'll run 2 XLRs into it. And I sing, and when I need to talk to the band, I step and hold. And when I'm done talking, I release it. So that signal is just routed to our in-ears. It's only going to in-ears, it's its own channel. And it does take 2 channels if you're gonna use it to sing. You still gotta use 2 channels. But, you know, because 1 is for in the house and vocal, and then it swaps over to the other channel, just the MD mic, band director. A lot of people call it different things. Some people put a noise suppressor on, or like a noise gate on it instead of stepping on a switch. I actually had somebody ask why we use that if I wasn't singing. I like having the switch. We have those for anyway, so like you can get other units that are just 1 XLR in, 1 out, so you can step on it to talk. But we keep it that way because sometimes we want whoever is MDing to also sing, depending on the day. When I lead worship, I like having an MD mic if I don't have somebody MDing, because I like to at least be able to remind the band of something or say something at some point, just to get everybody back on track. If you don't have one of those switcher pedals, you could still run a microphone into the board and not put it in the house. You could just leave it on all the time, and you know it'll get some bleed. That's the problem, because everybody keeps it up pretty loud because it's only going to be there for a second. just enough command time to call a shot or a command or whatever. But you could also put a noise gate on it. We've done that before, and just so you have to be like right up on it. They also make sensors that, like a proximity sensor you can get too. I mean, that's going to cost you money.
Fancy.
But basically, when you put it on the mic clip, so when you get closer, it detects that you're there and it turns the mic on. I like having the switch because I can tell when it's on. When you open up, I'm standing next to the drums, they're in a cage, but I hear like that extra little bit of noise, and I think everybody knows like, oh, MD's talking, and so before I even say anything, they know I'm about to say something.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
So that brings up a few points about band members who are not the MD. Your band needs to have the MD's mic or signal in your ears at least as loud as the click, because you need to be able to hear what the MD is saying. So I've got Bradford, like when you come in and talk, I hear you above everything.
Yep. I'm not there just to like be the boss or be in charge. The point is for me to keep everybody together. And if you can't hear me and you're not doing what I call for, then you're going to have like part of the band doing one thing, the other part of the band doing the other. And that's the whole point of the MD, is to get everybody together. So a common question was something to the effect of like, why do this if you have cues, or how is this different than that? Or
explain quickly what cues are.
So cues just give you a 4 count. Let's say chorus, 2, 3, 4, or bridge, or whatever part you're coming to. Sometimes things like we just did Surrounded the other day. And so there's a big part coming out of the bridge where you go into the chorus, but you do like these big hits, like almost on like the quarter notes, right? So it said chorus, hits, 3, 4, and then it said chorus, build, 3, 4. So like words like that are good. If you're not going to MD, you can put little words like that to remind everybody what to do.
It's pre-recorded voice.
Pre-recorded, yep.
And it does lock us into arrangements.
It does. Questions were like, well, how is this different? Why is this necessary? What about spontaneous stuff? Base level foundation needs to be made first. Your band needs to be able to execute songs. Don't put the cart before the horse. Don't sit there and try to figure out, how can we do cool stuff? The cool stuff is nailing the song first, nailing what you're intentionally doing. That's the cool stuff. That's not saying you're not allowing the Holy Spirit to move. Pray while you're planning your worship set, while you're rehearsing, while your band is running through stuff together.
Turn it into a different video now.
And you could, in that moment, the Holy Spirit can talk to you right then and there and say, let's add a chorus here.
Yes.
So
it works.
You can totally do that. This is all different, though, at the same time. Your band needs a great foundation to start with. An MD could be great for starting that foundation, just to remind people of everything. The point is, it's more about reminders, anything extra you got going on, keeping everybody on the same page. Maybe you're adding something slightly different, all of that. All important stuff.
While we do, are locked into an arrangement, like we do the song and the cues are there, we often build time in the beginning, and today we're doing both of these things. We build time into the beginning of a song and at the end of a song or between songs, where things are happening, whether we're singing, we're directing the congregation, we're introducing something new, we're singing a chorus off the click or something. And in those situations, the MD is really valuable because you can tell us where to go. Between songs, for example, today we have a baptism happening inside of a song. And so Bradford, we have a click that just goes and it just loops, so there's no cue, it's just a click. And Bradford will tell us, let's play the chorus progression here. And you'll just call out the chords. Like, let's go to the 1, let's go to the 4, and we're all in time. And we're all going to the same place at the same time. One thing you did is we practiced it and we kind of simulated when the baptism would happen. And you were like, let's build energy here. And so we know how to do that. So there's a lot of opportunity, even inside of prearranged stuff, for an MD to direct.
My goal is not to just take over and do what I want. The worship leader and I, our worship leader at this campus, Caleb, him and I talked. He's telling me, here's kind of what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. And I'm like, okay, but what about, and so I tell him my concerns, he tells me what he wants, and we figure out together what's going to happen. And the worship leader, here's the important thing. The worship leader, and Caleb is a great guy. Caleb will, if in the moment I called for something, Caleb trusts me and will lay down his pride enough. This is not about him. This is about what are we doing as a band to connect people to the heart of God the best we possibly can. And so Caleb or anybody leading the song, the whole band, everybody really, is is humble enough to know that if we're calling for something that the MD, and this is because we trust each other, Caleb and I do, I can call for something and change something up in the moment, or if I call for something, maybe it's for a reason, and everybody follows suit. You don't want people battling, and you know, like, you don't want the worship leader always being ticked at the MD. The whole point of this is it helps everybody stay together.
One big point that I don't think we've mentioned yet thus far in this video, Brad,
It's kind of a deal breaker.
is that all of your team has to be on, or at least those in the team that are going to hear what the MD is saying, have to be using in-ear monitors. And the reason that you have to be on in-ear monitors is because what the MD says needs to be only heard by the musicians and not the congregation or whoever else is in the room. So, which brings up a point. If you're in a small room, like if you're in a small church, which I know a lot of people are in churches that are, I used to lead worship in a church of like 30 some people, maybe 50.
I've seen that room, it's a small room.
And if I were, calling out changes and stuff, everyone in the room would hear me. It's, so it's not really an appropriate position for every situation, but you do have to have in-ear monitors because you only want the band to hear what the MD is saying, which brings me to these. So we get asked a lot about what in-ear monitors we use. Look, Bradford and I are trying to be socially distant. We look like we're making a cheesy 90s band cover.
We also look to be about the same height because I went down the hill a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually taller than you. This is like the first time in my life I've looked directly into your eye line.
Meet my eye line, Jim.
Recently, All Claire reached out to us and asked us if we'd be interested in partnering together with doing some content. And we said yes. So today literally is the first day that Brad and I are using our new in-ears from All Claire. Which ones did you get?
I got the Spire 6s.
Mine are the Electros. All I can tell you is, and Brad and I both said this today, we are hearing things like that we've never heard before in our live in-ear mix. Yeah. It's been really good.
So much more headroom.
Yes.
And like because the seal's better, the stereo feel I'm getting is way better. So like I have the drum verb up in my ears.
Yeah.
And so when Chris, our drummer, would like swell on the cymbals, I could like heard it panned in stereo. I was like, whoa, I never heard this before.
All right, there was another question saying, can you record an in-ear monitor mix so we can hear you, MD?
That's the goal.
Course 2, 3, 4.
With my hands lifted high, oh God, the battle belongs to you.
On the 4, 4. Let's go to the chorus. 2, 3, go.
So got a couple questions in line with like, well, what do you do?
Prepare?
What do you do to prepare? And somebody just straight up asked actually, like, do you have to know all the other parts? Basically, if you want to do your job well, I would say you basically need to. That's what you're there for. I prepare very similarly. That's a hard word to say. Similarly,
Yes.
in a very similar way to how I would prepare for leading worship, because as a worship leader, I still direct the band. You don't need to know exactly what you're talking about. You don't need to be a drummer. You don't need to be a keys player. But being able to at least say, this isn't right, let's fix this, or at least know what to ask for more of or less of. And so I tend to know a lot of what's going on.
Do you find that people show up unprepared knowing that they can rely on the MD? We don't,
because I think the culture we've set for what an MD does is more about just like we've been saying, like helping take everything to the next level. Mm-hmm. So no, we do not find people come ill-prepared because we're MDing, because again, the goal of the MD is just to take it up a notch. Some people were asking more for like, well, what do you call for? Or like, what do you play? Or what progressions do you play? Or somebody was asking for like, favorite progression.
This would be more like after a song?
Yeah.
And like between, like if there's a spiritual direction prayer moment or something?
Yep.
Like what are you telling the band to do?
There's never one thing. I try to go for whatever feels best. So for whenever we do Good Grace, for example, it always feels way better to go into the bridge to me than going into the chorus. And just about everybody who plays, like we all agree, there's just something about that. It just feels better. But some songs, like you may want to go to the chorus. Sometimes, depending on what's happening after, 1 and 4 is probably like the only thing I would ever say is like a standard progression for me. There's no right or wrong, but make it simple and get it to the point where everybody can do it on their own in the moment. You don't want to have to keep calling for it. This was a Sunday vlog with a little more intentionality than an Instagram post about MDing, but we could always do another video kind of walking through some more basic practical steps.
Do you have any other questions?
So if you got some like great questions, I think we covered a lot. The thing is, and I could still see this happening because I used to think the same thing. I could see people maybe overthinking it and feeling like that it still doesn't make sense because that's at least how I thought. And really at the end of the day, don't overthink it. You're just there to help whatever you can help with to make sure your band nails everything the best that they possibly can.
Yeah.
And start there, and from there you just end up figuring out what your band needs, what your people need. And if you realize there's something you're constantly addressing, maybe that's a cultural thing that you and the worship leader, or maybe you're the worship leader, could hash out and figure out how you could just make that be an expectation instead of you doing it all the time. And that's not because you don't want to do it as AMD, but if there's something that always ends up happening that needs to be fixed, just fix it overall and go from there. But let us know if you got more thoughts or more specific questions, and we'll do that.
And thanks for watching. This concludes the Sunday vlog. Bye-bye.
Bye.